Hi guys, this is the latest update on the progress for the game. So, I'm gonna start the game here. It's already online, it's already started. So the biggest difference is now when you're gonna log in, you're not gonna see just the game in 3D. You're gonna first see a list of games available. And there will be two types of users. There are now two types of users. One is an admin user with certain privileges. When you see the list of games as an admin user, you can see buttons that otherwise you would not see as a normal player. So these buttons are options to add a new game and change the setting of the game, or even delete existing game. So the game object is a data object that will contain all the parameters of your game, and among them it contains the EPANET network object. So some game will use Modena as a network, but some other games would use I don't know, New York. So if you look on the right at the top, there is here new options which are now available and visible to the admin. So beside the list of games, there is also a list of networks, and these are actually the EPANET networks which have been uploaded to the system. So you can view them, delete them, add a new one, and so on and so on. So let's say I'm going to delete one. As you can see, now it's deleted from the database, it's gone. Let's say I want to add a new EPANET network. So I'm going to give it a name, T3, whatever, and then I'm going to choose an EPANET file which has all sorts of things in it from the list of sample file I've got. And yes, so it reads the EPANET file, it checks everything is okay, will give you warning messages if, for example, there's no junction or no pipe, or if I don't know, there is something missing that should be in there. Can't remember the detail of everything I've done, but yes, that's already, there's a basic check. All this is interactive Excel kind of spreadsheet, so you can change the values. Let's say you want to fix the minimum pressure of the junctions in your network here, and you would change them. Instead of being 200 like I did by default, you would put them to be 25, but you want to extend that, so you copy paste it, and here you go. You can copy paste the usual things you can normally do with Excel anyway. So you set up minimum pressure for your junctions. You can change the list of pipe diameters that you are considering in your network. That means that next time you edit the diameter of valves or pipes, the choice you got available when you change the value will be reflected with what you've got available in your list of pipe diameters. So you change that. You can set some pipes to be replaceable or not replaceable to have a fixed status, like in the case of the New York game. And there's all sorts of things you can change for valves and pumps, and it takes into account, in case of pumps, the available curve parameters and all these things. Alright, so once you're happy with the EPANET network you want to upload, you click upload, and T3 is now available. That means that the next time you create a game, you can use this EPANET network setting. So let's add a new game called new game, and then let's select what EPANET network we want to use. Let's put T3 that you've just created. And now the interesting bit is, by default, when you're going to create a game, it's going to look for all the list of existing users, and you will be able to create teams and also team members. That means that by default each user is its own team. So that means that you will have as many teams as users by default, and that's it. And each that means that the team member of the user, which is the only one in his team, will be team member 0, and that's correct. But what happens is, if you change the team size to be 2, you will have, let's say, teams of 2 users. Well, in that case, you can change which user is part of which team. So you can put the first 2 users to be part of team 0. You can give it the third user, you can say that he's not really part of any team, so you can give him team -1 perhaps, if he's an admin or something. And team member reference, if both the first 2 users are part of the same team, Baba will be the team member 0 and the next user will be team member 1. And this way, for all your users, you will define which role they have in the team. That's important for later. So you create that, and that's it. You got your new game here. Now, it's not sufficient to run a game to just set up what we've set up. We need to get into the settings of that new game. So click on settings. But we got this idea of which user are part of which team that we've put, and which users in each team, what is their role as a team member. Okay, but the most important change is that for all the list of changeable items in our network, the pumps, the valves, the pipes, we need to set up which team member will be able to change which pipe or which valve or which pumps, because by default, if there is one user per team, it's perfect. Each user is team member 0, and by default, team member 0 will be able to change everything. This is the case like the previous game we've done with the New York game. But if you've got 3 users per team, you want perhaps one user to only be able to change certain pipes and another user to be able to change other pipes. That's why you've got that system. So now you will set up the pipe DP1, the very first pipe, to only be changeable by a user team member 1. And this means that it will be changed for all your groups of teams and users. And in every team, the team member which will have the reference 1 will be able to change only the pipe DP1 for that game. And that's how it works. So now you click on update, and that's it. It's all put in a database, it's all there. Notice that, that's pretty much it. Now what's left is to do the game rendering, reflect all these changes. I don't know if I just said it before, but you can change as an admin user the list of existing users, delete them, and give them or not admin privilege. Okay, one last thing. As an admin, you will be able to change something in the game from your view of the game, and as an admin user, you'll be able to see the network on the view screen. These buttons don't exist yet, but you will have a button that will have the option to start the game. That means that the game will suddenly be accessible to all the users to play. And then you will be able to stop the game. Then the game will not be accessible anymore to all users to play. They will also have the option to change something in the network during the game time, so that the change will be reflected to all other teams and users' state of the game. So I'm thinking of, if you have a reservoir that you want to shut off, you will shut down that reservoir or that pipe or something. Then you would click like you would as a normal user on one portion of the network to let's say, disable a particular piece of the network. Then you would click on compute or as a button, and that change will be immediately sent to all other teams. That's how I plan to implement the idea that we can shut down something during game time as a dungeon master. That will give you a lot of flexibility as well to change whatever it is you want to change and make a game, different games from one session to another, depending on what kind of problems you want to give the users. Anyway, so that's the idea. The consequences, though, are the following for Mark. When I create a game with a particular list of settings, that means that you, Mark, on the input that your system will have to take, you'll have to take a list of changeable elements in the network as input with the corresponding values. And so far we just have an array of pipes that can be changed, but it's going to be more complicated with different game scenarios. So I suggest that we can take as input something like a string with a list, something like a keyword pump, valve, and pipes, and after each keyword you will have a list of corresponding values, and they will be ordered. They have to be ordered by some sort of perhaps string order, like alphabetical order or something like that, or otherwise they could have the name of each one of the changeable pipes followed by the value. In that case, you don't need to worry about setting that up in your system in advance, so it corresponds exactly to what we set up in the game. That's pretty much it for the moment. I don't think I've got anything to add. Work is going well. There's a lot to do still, but hopefully we'll get there. So that's pretty much it for me, and I'm gonna stop the recording. Bye bye.